Hello, hello. Welcome back to the weekly Monday Motivation Podcast, No More Excuses. I am your host, Sandy Ballard, the Badass Business Coach. Thanks for being here and for listening and sharing this podcast with others. And yes, I just found out my podcast has not been being released to all the platforms. So, like Spotify, it was almost 50 podcasts ago. Somehow I clicked off of something and it wasn't going to Spotify. So if you, haven't seen it for a while or something, you wouldn't be listening to this one. But I just thought it was weird. Or maybe you switched platforms. So that's why. So anyway, just lovely little technology things, but hey, this is week 308. We're nearing that 6-year mark, and shit's gonna just happen sometimes, right? Well, like I said, thanks for being here, and don't forget to give me a shout out. Let me know who you are and where you're listening. All right. Yes. All right. Last Monday's podcast was all about love, and no, not that 4-letter word about romance and sex, but what about what you do for a living and making sure that you love what you do? Or what parts of what you do you love? And not love, but we're talking about love. It's a passion of mine to help you love what you do and do what you love. If you don't, well, what can you do? What can you do about it? Or what can you improve about what you do? What will you do about it? Well, you could contact me. But, we don't always love every aspect of our job or business tasks. But it's definitely something to look into, especially when you're constantly saying, I don't have enough time in the day, or I'm not going to get to do what I love because of all the shit that I have to do that I don't. Well, learning to delegate, identify what is and is not a good use of your time, telling people no, which is boundaries, understanding why you feel like you, quote unquote, have to do something, and sometimes everything. Sometimes you feel like you have to do it all, and stop it, right? You're not able to do it all. Well, figuring all this out helps you find more time. And that's, my friends, what we're going to listen to, what you're going to listen to, what I'm going to talk about today, which is time management. Yes, I talked a little bit about it in podcast 306 when I talked about focus. They tend to go hand in hand. If you're able to focus, you realize you have more time in the day. You get more done. You're working more efficiently. Time management is such a mystery to many. In my Men's Business Accelerator group last week, they seemed to be struggling. They all were like finding more time, trying to find more time. And one guy asked, is this a guy issue? And I laughed. I said, oh no, it's a people issue. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you own your own business or have a job. At some point, we've all struggled with finding more hours in the day, getting it all done. So let's start with the definition of time management. It's the ability to use one's time effectively or productively, especially at work. But how? And I think that could actually, you lose time at home too. It's not just work. But, so how? How do you, me or anyone, how do you use one's time effectively? Well, you prioritize. I preach it. I try to do it myself. I try to practice what I preach. Do one thing at a time. Because I will tell you, and I've said this so many times, multitasking is not a freaking superpower. I don't care how damn amazing you think you are at it. You're half-assing something if you're multitasking. Something is not getting your full attention, right? Think about a time when someone was talking to you, whether it's in person, on the phone, or video call, and you were doing something else while they were talking. Perhaps you were nodding your head, adding in a few, here and there. And maybe, you were just kind of sort of looking at them, looking up and down, and then it happened. They asked for input or asked you a question. Oops. You were like, what? Yeah. Okay. Well, right there you're busted for multitasking. It doesn't work and it wastes time, because you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to own it most of the time, right? And you're going to have to have that person go back through what they wanted you to know, right? So here's a tip. Learn to ask. If someone starts talking to you when they walk into a room, I had someone do this when I was doing some volunteer work, and the director would always walk in and just start barfing out information. And then she wondered why I would give her a shitty look and be like, half paying attention. I'm like, give me a second. And so we talked through it, and I asked her. She said, I asked her when she came into the room if she had something she needed to talk to me about. Ask me if it's a good time or if I had a minute, right? Because then you can refocus and not have someone just start, barfing out information or talking to you. But, if you're on a video call or on the phone, you should be paying attention anyway, right? I know it's Zoom fatigue and, I have my good days and my bad days, but, come on. You should be eliminating the distractions. If you signed up for this meeting or you are part of this event or networking anything, you should be blocking that time out to be intentional with your time, to be focused, right? And, just a little side note, I was in a virtual meeting last week and, all of a sudden you hear someone's phone ringing because somebody wasn't muted. And this woman was like, hello, oh yeah, da, da, da. So somebody finally either muted her or asked her to mute. So, of course, what am I now? I'm distracted because I'm now watching her. I can't hear her, but I'm watching her on the phone thinking, how rude is this? Because this person is giving a presentation and she just answered a phone call. I mean, what if she's sitting in the audience, right? I mean, yes, we've all gotten the calls where we've had to excuse ourselves, but she kept her camera on and talked through almost this whole presentation and had the guts, more like the balls at the end of the presentation to say, great presentation. You didn't listen. That was bullshit. And see how her multitasking affected others? I spent more time watching her and thinking about how rude she was than listening to the presentation. So then I was mad at myself. It's just multitasking. Just stop it. So multitasking will waste your time. Time management. It's a mystery. It's the eternal dilemma. Forbes has a great article on tips for time management, and I'll share it in one of my social media posts this week. So watch for that. But it talks about the 4 Ds of time management: do, defer, delegate, delete. And that's great as tasks come at you. But before that, you can prioritize, right? And have your plan. So when you're looking at the 4 Ds, you have 4 choices. Do it now, which you can determine quickly if it takes precedence over your already beautifully prioritized to-do list. Do this by understanding, is it an emergency or something that can be done very, very, very quickly? All right? So let's do it. Defer it until later if it's not an emergency. If you think it's going to take more than a couple minutes, and add it onto your to-do list. Obviously, if there's a deadline, add it in to the appropriate place or put it at the end, and at the end of your day, decide where it falls into your tomorrow or future. Delegate. Delegate it if it's not a good use of your time, or perhaps someone else can do it just as easily, or perhaps better than you. And then delete it. Yes, identify if this task is something that you even need to do, or if it's an email that doesn't even need your attention. I mean, we all get so much junk email and promotions and, all that don't need your attention all the time. I've heard people say they get hundreds of emails a day that are junk, or multiple times a day maybe. And I do have a good email filter that puts a lot of my emails, those type of emails, into junk. I think Gmail does a great job of junk and promotions and all that. And then maybe once a day I'll take a quick skim, scroll through to make sure there's nothing stuck in the true junk email. And then every morning for my Gmail account, I'll skim the stuff that's in my inbox, and they're usually the promotions. I'll click on it, select all the way down to one that needs to stay, and hit delete. Boom, done. That's a good way to stay on top of your inbox and not be searching for other emails through the sea of junk, right? Many of my clients, or at least at first, are creatures of that pesky, notification, ding, buzz, flash, something goes across the screen, whatever it is, says, hey, there's something new in here. Let me distract you. Don't let it. And I talked about this in 306, podcast 306, about the focus, staying focused on what you're doing, and the dings and the mailbox and the emails, all that is so, and text, WhatsApp, whatever it is, social media posts, they can be distracting. Those notifications are distractions, and it's what causes the shitstorm of not enough hours in the day to happen. All right? And yes, being organized will help tremendously. When you're constantly looking for a file or an email or a note or a receipt, especially if you have things in many places, your computer, phone, tablet, wherever, you're wasting time looking for shit. What about where your keys are? What about where the batteries are for when your mouse dies? Think about things. Be organized. I have a client using Rocketbook for his client notes. He writes them, and it automatically creates a digital file. That's tremendous help for him. It's helping with the notes part, reducing clutter, paper usage, and potential loss of notes, right? It's helping him stay organized in that manner. And then another client is using the 131 system. I think I've talked about this. He's creating a folder for each month and then one for each day. And that's great, especially for things that aren't due right now. He can put that in the folder. Say something's due on the 15th of the month. Just drop it in the 15th, or maybe if you're going to need some time to work on it, the 13th, right? And there's something that will help all of you. I think we all need to swear and live by our to-do list, and the paper to-do list, not the paper, or not the list that's in your head. That's the oh shit list, and I'll refer to that in social media later this week. Get it out of your head and onto paper and prioritize. All right, so we're going to do a little visualization here. So if you're driving or doing something that would cause you to fall or run into a wall, do not close your eyes or pause and come back to this when you're safely stopped. Okay, so close your eyes. Take a deep breath, and yes, visualize your day. And no, don't start reeling in the, shitty assignments coming at you, people bugging you, phone ringing, all that. Just stop for a second. Focus. Focus on how you would feel if your day went smoothly. You sat down at your desk, you looked at your to-do list, and just went item by item, one thing at a time. No major interruptions. You were able to focus on one thing and one thing at a time, and you were able to focus intently and be fully present in a meeting or if someone is talking to you. You knew where all your files were that you needed, and at the end of the day, you were like, wow, that felt great. I got so much done. Now smile, take a deep breath, and soak in that feeling. And now, yes, you can open up your eyes. What was different? What happened? What did you not allow to happen? What did you allow to happen? Right? The distractions. So how can you replicate that day? Well, I've talked about it a few times. Prioritize. Yes, you've got to prioritize to get that to-do list out of your head, onto paper, prioritize. And also create strong boundaries and clear expectations. Shit's going to go sideways. Life happens. Clients, bosses demand. Coworkers get chatty. Traffic, weather, bullshit. But you don't have to allow that to be your day every day. Do we want to work every weekend or nights or early in the morning because we're trying to constantly catch up? Think about that. How can you replicate, the best day possible? How's that? Today and this week, I'm going to be challenging you to work on 3 things: organizing, prioritizing, and eliminating. Organize. Get organized. Use a work sprint time where you're cleaning, purging, whether it's computer files or in-person files. I used to take everything off my desk, wipe down the desk, and put one thing back on the desk at a time that belonged there. And then I would find a place for it. I would put it away, throw it away, right? The defer it or delete it kind of thing. Maybe stuff needed to just be filed. Maybe it's not due right then, right? Find apps or tools or other things that can help you stay organized, like Rocketbook or the 1 to 31 system or an app. I think there's so many apps out there. I'm looking into a new system to schedule some of my social media posts because the one I was using is now jacked up their prices and they're stupid. So if you have one, let me know. So that's organizing, prioritizing. At the end of each day, take a look at your to-do list and if you're like me, sticky notes. My mouse pad is paper, so I just write notes down there, emails, voicemails, and crap that comes your way, and create a new to-do list. Don't forget to look at your calendar ahead and see what meetings or things you have, and identify the 3 most important things you must get done, or are there things on your to-do list that aren't getting done because you might not like to do them, and do those first. And then eliminating. Yes, eliminate the distractions. Create those boundaries. Create that plan. Get rid of the shit you don't need to do. So watch social media this week and today. If you have a tip on how you've saved time, or like that productivity tip or an app or something like that that's helped you, I'd love for you to share it. All right? I'm looking forward to being your partner in time management and helping you find time, save time, so you can actually have more time to do fun-tivities, all right? Have a great, productive week. I look forward to hearing from you. Oh, and as always, my email, sandy@sandyballard.com. And direct message me, let me know where you're listening from. Cheers.